Hello and welcome to this episode of Love for AP50s. Today we're in my shed. I'll just show you some of the other bikes. They're not APs, so we'll get back to what is. Now today we're going to be talking about fitting this. This is the kit I've had made to convert the non-pedal swing arm to a pedal swing arm. Now I used this, which is an original one, as a guide for everything, and I've got the remnants of this AP swing arm to take an important reference from. Now when I had them made, I didn't have the opportunity to prototype it, so I just measured and hoped I got everything right. I did get a couple of things wrong, but they're rectifiable. The holes, I didn't give enough clearance to allow for the fact that the shafts might be out of line, or the fact that the non-finished machine part of the shaft is actually very slightly fatter than the rest. So that needs to be, on both pieces, taken out by about 1/2 mil to 1 millimetre. That'll give you enough of the slack to sort it. Now when we come to preparation, you ideally want to sandblast your swing arm before any welding takes place. This is only like this because I wanted to show you what occurs. Now one of the areas you have to take particular attention to is inside here, because the original non-pedal shaft seem to be rustier inside here than the pedal shaft ones. And if you look there, see if we can try to get it, just there's a weld seam. Now that needs to be carefully taken down with either a file or a die grinder. That will make things a lot easier when it comes to fitting everything, because the welds tend to push it all out of line. Now when I set this up, I tacked this in place without the shaft in it. Now that meant that everything was a little bit skew width, so I had to file the inside of that out to be able to get the shaft to turn. Now the important reference I was talking about is this height here. So using my trusty square that I use for a lot of other things. Oh, let's give it a little spin over. I measured that height. A bit awkward to do one-handed with the left hand, and that's 22 mil. Now to get this at the right height, you need to take the original lip and weld down a bit. Now this one had a really ugly weld. It was big, fat and horrible, not like this side. So it looks like they were welded by two different people. But anyway, this really, if you're going to weld it properly, this needs to be tapered off a bit more to allow your weld to look nicer for a start, and to actually be a little bit more penetrative, is a word that I don't use very often. If you do find that when you've welded it on, it's a bit taller than 22mm, just file it down a bit. It's no biggie. But what you don't really want is it less than 22mm. Only tack it though. Don't ever, when you're fabricating, completely weld one piece before everything else is in position. Now we come to this side. You get the distance from the swing arm by the circlips that are fitted. Now, where I mentioned I got that gap a little bit wrong, what I did was I filed a stainless steel circlip down, and then that will be coming as part of the kit in future. I used stainless because filing it to get it to fit into the recess means it still doesn't rust. Right, so you get the distance by allowing a little bit of slack on this side and then pulling this out to where it should be. It meets the circlip. You want that little bit of distance so that the shaft will actually turn. There is also an angle on this, and the angle goes from this point to this point to the bottom of here in a straight line. Previously I've always done it by eye, but that's a lot easier when you're not looking through a phone, I'll tell you. But to do it by eye, I will just do it like that. You can double check with your straight line if you want, but that's it there. Let's see if I can put that down. Try to keep it upright. Get my fat belly out the way. Now it's not easy with the shaft in, but you see what I mean there. If you look at that line, that's about where you want to be. Like I said, I've done it by eye plenty of times, well, about 4 times, and the pedals have always looked like they're in the right place. Now with that gives you a nice gap here to weld. Now that gets welded in there. It's going to be easier with a TIG welder and someone that knows what they're doing. You can MIG weld it, but it's awkward because the torch cut shroud gets in the way a bit. Now you can get away, hang on, where are we? Oh, there we are. You can get away by, if you've got a spare shroud, cutting one down a bit and turning the gas up, or by taking your shroud off, and that then allows you to get closer to the point where you're actually going to weld, but you need to turn the gas up quite a lot so that it blasts it. Blast not in pressure, but because you haven't got a shroud, the gas needs to come from somewhere. So let's just put that back so I don't lose it. Next, you can actually weld it all the way along, all the way round. Now if you find, oh, I'm upside down. If you find that you're still not turning as free as you want, file or Dremel out the inside hole a bit more, or grease your shaft. Grease makes a lot of difference, and I grease everything before I fit. The other thing is the little roll pins that go in these holes. Now, as you can see, the original roll pins are really quite freaky things. They've got a serrated joined edge, and I think, I've got a strange feeling, they're imperial, like most of the pedal parts on the AP. They're imperial. They're some of the few imperial parts on the bike. If I remember right, I measured them and they were a strange size using my metric, whatchamacallit, that I'll probably caliper thing. So I just used a drill to tell me what size that should be. Now it is a metric hole size now, so that'll allow you to buy the appropriate roll pin. Well, there you go. That's it. Oh, there are a couple of other things. You will have to tap this side, the left hand side hole, a little bit deeper, and remove some of the threading from the first portion to allow your special AP foot peg to go on. Well, I hope that helps, and I'll speak again soon.